Hello, today for review I've got new in-ear monitors made by a company TRI model Starsea. Actually, TRI is a relatively famous company. It's a subdivision of KB Ear, who already delivered plenty of really successful models, and TRI is their subdivision that looks like they're going to dedicate to more premium models. At least currently under the TRI brand they released few models with more fancy design. They also released model for about $700 TRI Starfield, if I remember right, with electrostatic drivers and so on. But Starsea is their attempt to work in the more affordable segment, and actually it's a really close competitor to pretty popular and famous model C Audio Legacy. They have a lot of similarities both in design and in the configuration. It's also 3-driver hybrid model with single dynamic driver and dual balanced armatures. They also feature similar tuning system, so they are really close, and I won't be surprised if they are done on the same plant, but maybe not, but more probably they are. But sound is a bit different, kind of spoiler. Difference isn't huge, but they have some common features, but some distinguishing difference. Price is about $130, but they are available sometimes with discounts, so keep that in mind too, and let's have a closer look. Package is simple but done with style. They have this color that reminds a bit the Starry Night, so they're definitely consistent in terms of package. On the back side there are some technical specifications: 9.5 ohms of impedance, 106 decibels of sensitivity. It's really close because C Audio Legacy is also about 9.5, depends on switch's position, and they have 108 decibels of sensitivity stated, but as you can see, plus minus 2 decibels is possible deviation here, so probably they are close in this aspect. Of course there is inner box, and here you will get earpieces themselves, 2 pair of foam tips, and additional case with more accessories. Also kind of storage pouch and a short manual. Of course, more accessories are stored here. So nice, good package, maybe a bit fancy, but still nice looking. Inside one will get stock cable and 3 set of tips, so 3 pairs here, 3 pairs here, and 4 pairs here. All are different silicone tips, but have some variations. And a tool for toggling switches for tuning. Nice touch to edit. So let's have it here. And in terms of design, they are pretty fancy, nice looking, also sharing this violet color with nice interesting swirl patterns. As usual they are random, so each pair will have a unique design, and internals are pretty familiar looking. So here is the dynamic driver, 2 balanced armatures, socket, pressure relief port, and switches to tune the sound. Overall level of build is pretty good. They are smooth, have nice ergonomic shape, so they will fit vast majority of ears without any problems. So I can't guarantee for 100%, but I think that most ears won't have problems with them. Spout length is average, so sound isolation is also average. It will be enough for noisy street or for public transport, but probably in subway or on the plane it could be a bit it could be not enough isolating. And here are the toggles. Basically idea is almost the same as with C audio. So first switch is boosting low frequencies. I think that most of people will keep it on. And second one is boosting a bit upper mid. So this one way it's the most V-shaped tuning. And same as with C audio, it's I also prefer this set of switches, but you can change the representation a little bit, and I'm not probably a fan, but I approve such idea, because nowadays it's hard to listen to all models, and some sound tweaking features are nice thing to have. They increase the possibility that you will find the suitable representation buying some model without listening to it. And of course they have replaceable cable, and they used absolutely classical switch, 2 pins connectors, no recessed pins, no recessed sockets, so just connector that sits flush with the shell. Probably the best and the most reliable option with that will accommodate vast majority of wires. And stock cable is nice. It has silver color, looks fancy, it's pretty soft. There are ear hooks, but without memory wire. So they are average in terms of softness, not too soft, not too hard, but microphonic effect is low. Thanks to this ear hook they minimize it. Nice, solid, good metal splitter, and below the splitter it goes braided down to the straight jack. So in terms of accessory set, in terms of package, design, and so on and so forth, they are really on par with other competitors in this price range. And of course about the sound, I gave them about 40 hours of burn-in, but they didn't change sound really much, so they don't probably require much burn-in, but it's better to spend time fiddling these switches and playing with tips, because you know, for this in-ear monitors tips plays noticeable role. Actually I selected red tips with red stems, here they are. I selected these tips, and actually I listened to them, did compressions and recorded the video about the sound, and I say okay, those are natural, a bit lightweight and linear in-ear monitors in terms of representation, a bit more on the technical and aggressive side of things. But then I try this green stem tips, and actually they give a bit different sound, so I am re-recording this video because sound part required some corrections. Let's have a player on the table and let's proceed to the sound description. So there are a lot of options, but same as with C audio, Thigh audio, I prefer both switches up, so balls to the wall option. And it really depends with tips what you will get. You can get really different options in terms of sound, and actually I welcome this approach. Of course, I like when company has its own unique vision of sound, when some model required a lot of tuning, and adding some sound tweaking options sometimes looks and feels like cheating, because like, okay, I prepare a few options, go and find the one that will need you. But nowadays actually it's a good option to for me, at least for me, because we all buying some models based on reviews, based on I don't know, based on design, on price, so without listening them. So and different sound tweaking options means that it's more likely that you'll find something that will suit your needs, and you less likely will be disappointed with your purchase. And actually, as a customer, I welcome that. Of course, these switches are not intended to be toggled frequently. I am not sure about the durability, but I don't think that they will survive thousands of togglings. It's still an option to find the one set of tweaks that will suit your needs and stick with it. Maybe rarely you can toggle them to get a different refreshing signature, but anyway, not frequent. But of course I don't have statistics, maybe I'm wrong and they can be toggled like 1,000 times per day. Anyway, let's go back to the sound, and low frequencies really varies. With red tips you can get natural, slightly boosted low frequencies with average depths, with more focus on mid-bass and leaning towards technical side and leaning towards good texturing with nice punch, but with really slight accent, but well controlled, not bleeding onto mids. So probably I can say it's like technical bass tuning, suiting nice for acoustic instruments, double bass, brass instruments, and so on. And with these tips actually you can get more noticeable boost, pretty big bass going really deep with a bit less resolution. It's like compromise, you're getting more bass, you get losing a bit of resolution, but you're getting more weight. But still bass is more or less technical and staying on its place. But of course, because of more amount of low frequencies, of course it's shadowing mids a bit more. It's a matter of taste. Actually, you can even change the tips from time to time. Basically with this one I prefer electronic music and rap music and pop music, modern pop music, because for me like Sting, George Michael, Michael Jackson and other classical pop musicians are close to the music that requires more technical representation. And this model is great for classical music, for old pop and so on and so forth. And as an example of low frequencies, I will get this track. It's Deep Purple's Smoke on the Water. You know why this track is here, because of that moment when bass line enters, bass guitar enters and start playing its part. And with both options, these earphones are really good with this record, giving you sense of presence on the live concert. But probably for this track I'd prefer red tips with a bit more technical representation. While here, of course, bass guitar will be a bit more boosted. Mids are transitioned smoothly from low frequencies. Actually, they are pretty coherent. Probably nowadays, vast majority of manufacturers learned how to create coherent representation, so drivers overlap are less noticeable. And actually, it's just like, you know, classical one balanced armature mid frequencies. Not going far into micro detalization, not going too far in the macro, so balancing a little bit. So with this one they are pretty natural, with this one a bit more boosted to the micro detalization side of things, a bit more forward and a bit more aggressive. But still, with both options they're not trying to accent weight, they're not trying to add weight to highlight macro dynamics and other stuff, so they require properly recorded stuff. And you can vary a bit weight. With these tips you'll get a bit more weight, but still not much boost. With this one they are a bit more lightweight, but still normal body for the instruments and pretty good vocals. Maybe male ones sounding better with these tips, female with that tips, so compromises, always it's a matter of compromises. And imaginary stage is above average, not hugely above average, not slightly, so normally above average, nice three-dimensional positioning, but of course staging is a subjective matter, so it can be different for you. And as an example, I've got probably not by any means it's an audiophilic track, but many people I think like it, and it's the classics. It's the best years of Metallica and Master of Puppets, not perfectly recorded, but comparing with some modern albums, actually good quality of record, and for metal music of that times probably it's one of the best. And it requires nice resolving mid frequencies, and actually I prefer it with green tips. They are a bit more weighty, but at the same time a bit less focused on the different issues with records typical for the metal music. And treble with both tips are almost equal. Upper mids and treble is boosted, so I prefer this position on, and if you don't like you can turn it off, but still treble is present. It's not the model that is trying to hide high frequencies, it's not the model for those who are super sensitive for the treble. I prefer it a bit boosted, so it's closer to my comfortable level, but it's still pretty good treble with nice resolution and bit faster attacks and decay, so basically also what you can expect from single balanced armature. Extension is average, so very basic layering, but overtone saturation is nice, and they sounding pretty good. Don't expect some rich audiophilic treble of some expensive model, but treble sounding balanced and good with cymbals, percussions and so on. That's why I selected this track as an example. It's Mars Volta's Metatron. I don't know, is Mars Volta progressive metal or progressive rock or something in between. Anyway, it's complex guitar music with a lot of interesting ideas. And of course, guitars with distortion means a lot of overtones and of course a lot of different percussions, so they require nice resolution. Maybe it's not the perfect model that unveils this track at 100%, but still sounding pretty technical and acceptable for this price range. So once again, to summarize, it's a V-shaped model, and you can change the amount of this V-shapeness from almost natural V-shape with technical representation to a more warmer V-shaped representation. Speaking about the pairings, of course they require some player, probably starting with FIO M6 and up to FIO's M11, I mean this range. And it's a matter of what you'd like to achieve, because you can use it with Heidi's AP80 Pro, for example, if you need more detalization and more natural representation. Or if you need more worms, you can actually get Heibi R5, for example. Or if you don't like Heibi R5 worms, you can use these tips and boost both switches to give them more natural representation. So you know, it's really model for those who like experiments. Speaking about the comparisons, I do only few of them, and probably it's not enough, but I didn't compare them with many models, so just a few. Of course, the most interesting one is C Audio L3. You know, probably it could be almost the same model, but I do A/B tests with my pair of C Audio. I even do some blind tests, and still I get some difference that I can clearly hear. Maybe it's some deviation between pairs, but to my ears they're sounding a bit differently tuned. This one is a bit more resolving on the mids, while C Audio is a bit on the warmer side, and even in the warm tuning with these warmer tips they still a bit less warming than C Audio. So both tunings are okay, it's just a matter of preference. Many like C Audio, but if you need a bit more detalization you can get this model, and you can get use them with that red tips. And of course, during the A/B tests, I also used the same tips because it could explain the deviation. So for me, difference was present. It wasn't huge because I can't be 100% sure, but most probably they are done on the same plant, but slightly retuned. Maybe something changed a little bit. And few other models in this price range, like FIO FH3. FIO FH3 is more tuned for mass market, more classical V-shape with more low frequencies, but a bit more resolving, and a bit more present treble. So it's more to the V-shaped side of things. And I don't know, BQ EYZ Spring 2, more linear, but at the same time more forward and a bit more energetic. And our AudioSense DT200, because I reviewed them recently, they are a bit also different tuned because they are a bit more relaxed. They are detailed, but at the same time it's unusual model that not highlighting that micro detailization. If you focus on that, you will get higher level of details. If you won't, you can listen them more on the analog and vintage side of things. So I didn't do any more comparisons, just few reference points, and it was TRI Starsea, said that I didn't test their Starfield, but still interesting model and a really good addition to the TRI's lineup. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and have a nice day.